noise here. That sounds pretty growly. A little bit of the snails feel on there, because I know snails has those weird wet growls. Hey guys, it's BrainmasherWobbleTron. So well, here I'm going to do a little bit of a behind the scenes look at what I've been doing lately. I haven't been doing a lot of stuff on SoundCloud these days, as you can see, but from my last two posts, you can see that I've been working pretty hard on some webs, if you can listen here. That was me going for a little bit of a Snails Trapstep. A lot of my work is influenced by, Virtual Riot, Barely Alive, and Snails. So a lot of my work sort of retains those it's kind of a blend of that. And I'm going to show you guys what my setup looks like, and you guys can pull inspiration from that, and you guys can sort of learn how I get around my mastering and stuff like that. I mean, my finished projects sort of would sound like this, but they're not entirely finished. Those were done in like 15 minutes. My full projects are stuff like this. Like, these are not entirely finished either, but a lot of these are very close to being finished. There's a lot of hard trance in here. Like, this is all hard trance. This is hard trance. Even though it says trap, it's not trap. It came from trap, and I just kept the title, but it's actually hard trance. This is hard trance as well. This is drum and bass. So what I like doing before I even start working around with Logic Pro 10, I'll actually organize all this stuff, and this has already been organized, but I'll organize everything. So this is all my Logic Pro files, my projects. Here I have MIDIs if I ever need any. I have wavetables for various things, vocals if I need anything here for, to chop them up or anything like that. I have all my drum stuff. So these are all samples and stuff I have here, loops, except for these. These are all one-shots that I use. But I have a whole bunch of different stuff. These are actually my own. I actually made all these a long time ago, as you can see, 2011, 2000. There's some stuff in here that I think is even 2010 stuff. These things are hella old, and they sound something like this. Yeah, I don't use those anymore, but they're always there if I need them. And I have plugins here at the ready, because these are like deeply rooted into my root files, so they're actually a pain in the ass to go get whenever I need to add new plugins. So I actually stash them down here in my tags, so I can just go down here, click on BrainmasherWobbleTron, and I can just double click on this, and I can just drag and drop my VSTs if I have any, instead of having to go into my library and the users and having to go to hell and back. And there's all sorts of presets in here. So right now I have already opened a file from a previous take, and I don't do the way I handle things is different from what other people do, like Virtual Riot and Barely Alive, Zomboy, Skrillex. I don't do a lot of things as they do. I mean, I still master properly. I know that sounds pretty vague, but I use compressors and multipressors and all those different things. So right now I have just a normal software instrument, and I have a random MIDI that I took from the loop library here. And I've taken the pleasure of loading up Isotope Break Tweaker 4, and we're going to quickly get rid of all this crap here. Because the loop I've already imported here has some stuff there, but we're going to just keep our channel EQ here, because we're going to need it later probably. So there's nothing here in Battery 4, as you can see, but I will take the pleasure. I don't usually use Battery 4 for my drums, like ever. I used to. I usually use Isotope's brake tweaker. But brake tweaker, if you have a lot of stuff, really chews through your CPU, so I don't use it a lot. I mean, even here, I mean, yeah, that's where I can see my CPU. So there's nothing really happening right now. But I used to use brake tweaker a lot. I mean, battery, because there's literally a whole lot. It's 4x4. There's 16 tables here, as instead of the normal 6 that brake tweaker has. So it's pretty powerful. Not to mention it doesn't chew through your battery. Yeah, and I think you can actually layer it too. You can layer these. Yeah. Yeah, you can layer these too, because these are your first ones, and then you can have secondaries on here, I think, as well. Anyway, so we're gonna start off with a nice kick. And before we do that, we're actually gonna. What the hell? Whoops. We're just gonna change the velocity on these, and we're gonna put in some basic stuff so that we know what everything's gonna sound like. 142 beats per minute. Take off the click. Yeah, I'm just getting a sense of what it would sound like in my head. And we're going to put another stuff there, and we're just going to loop that for now. And save the file before we forget. We're going to name it ass. And before we do really anything else, I'm also going to click on Show Master Track here. And I have a master track already finished. It's perfect for Wobblez here. And it's all this crap. It's basically just me sucking out, lowering some bass, lowering a few high ends, taking out a few low ends. Those are like your punchy parts, so that the kick doesn't sound too punchy. So it sounds something like, instead of, you know, your default, which doesn't sound anything like that. And I have a stereo. This is my stereo expander. This is Melda production, I think. Yeah, Melda production. I have the default Logic Pro spreader. I have some multi-pressors here. I usually do some crazy compression on everything. Now, a lot of people like Virtual Riot, you know, compress differently. I think I actually took some of his advice. It says what he does is he compresses really low, tight on the bass, and then he loosens it up in the middle and stuff like that. You can go check out his tutorials. I don't do my stuff that way. I just go whatever works for me. And I have an adaptive limiter, which I don't actually know what this does, by the way. But I read in a study, or not really a study, but I read somewhere that it works. And for my main mastering, I use Alloy 2 by Isotope. Except this is yeah. And I have good transients, and I make use of my limiter, which is pretty over the top. And now that all this is stretched out and we can't see the top, because voila, we're going to use the mixers. We're going to use our mixer here to go in and oh nice, I can't take that, so we're going to go into the editor instead, and we're just going to drag it from there. And we can add something on there as well. We can we can add a sample onto there as well. I haven't actually done this a lot, so I don't actually know what this is going to sound. What the fuck? Alright, so I cut that out. because I didn't expect anything like that, to be honest. This is why I use Brake Tweaker, because I don't have to deal with some of this crap. But now back to our snares. And I also make my own snares. Like I have some of my snare. Like I have claps in here and stuff. But all the stuff labeled logic temp, this is all my stuff. So I have stuff like this in. We're gonna add a We're gonna add some punchiness to that actually. Using a nice. Wait, that's the wrong snare. Go into here. And for hi-hats, I basically just do a simple. So our first hi-hat is going to be a nice fast hi-hat, because this is dubstep after all. And then the next one is going to be your off beats. Just gonna reuse that, and then the next one is going to be our maybe a ride sample. Keep that. And I think once at this point, I'm going to need to switch into the other layers, because Brake Tweaker has different layers. And this we're going to use for our shout samples. That just happened. Yeah, see, because there's only 4 of them down here. Oh, stop that. And we're going to load. Wait. Yeah, it'll just say load cell. So we're going to go into our hi-hats. And I can actually put a compressor on these if I wanted to. And I don't even know what TMs really stand for, but I use these. Oh wait, unless these are transients. That's not like shit. And here we can have. And I might actually want modulation on there, so I'll actually do take off retrigger, and we can do sync to eighths, modulation LFO 1 to pan. And I might do the same, and I actually might do the same thing here too, because I really like that. And now for our off beats. See, now you're not going to be able to hear that because it's. Oh wait, no, those were our off beats. So instead, these will be our rides, or maybe not rides. Maybe we'll just have a hi-hat on our eighths. So that means all of this is going to have to be taken up a few levels. Actually, no, I'm going to go back to the ride. So I actually put all my rides into metals because I make some metal stuff as well. and I have a whole bunch of downloaded rides here. So that's a rim shot. And I'm also going to load in some shout samples from my dubstep, and these are stuff like, why does that sound like that? Why does that sound like that? So editor, now that that's really messing up. No, stop. Why am I not able to drag you? Oh my god. Sometimes this isn't. Oh, okay, good. There. This is another third world problem. Like, this is another one of those problems. I actually really don't like that snare, so we're going to cut that out. Go back to our snares. Alright, so that sounds pretty dope. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a nice stereo spread. Or not stereo spread, a stereo expander. Isotope alloy 2 for some compression. Punch kick 2, which is basically just me sucking out some low end, beefing up some middles, maybe raise a few highs, get rid of that exciter, multiband my compressor, and then just good. That doesn't sound that bad. And now for all of my trap snares, I'll actually just duplicate this. You know, just as a little thing there. Take this because we're gonna need that. Go up to C4, C4, and what I actually use is I don't use a drum sampler because battery 4 it doesn't have the right doesn't have the right capabilities, because when it comes to using a trap snare you want something that works as like a synth, so that you can pretty much just go anywhere in the piano roll and just, you know, like down here and just drag this anywhere and you'd get a different pitch. So what I actually do is some synths have drum samplers in them. So there's this one thing in here by Linplug called Chrono X4, and I actually don't have to load that. I actually have my own in here. What the hell? Yeah, use your patches and AAA because I have so much crap in here, and it's called Trap Snare. And for effects in here, it's just the Matrix reverb that comes with Logic Pro, and I have a little bit of a reverb, you know, took out some low ends. So because it's a trap snare, right, there's not a lot of low ends, you know, some more. This is this is the Space Doom, whatever, the Space Designer. And here in Chrono X, I just initialized the There's actually it's actually weird getting the initialized preset here, because you go into My Presets and you just click on the normal one, and up here you use Loop Sampler instead of Oscillator, and then you can click on the folder and that's where you select your samples, and I just select a trap sample, and then you just start putting in a nice beat. I don't even know what this would sound like. And then for your nice rolls, you actually have to zoom in because these are halves. 120. I think it's 120. Yeah. Yeah, just go crazy with the different tones because, you know, at the speed that these are going to be going at, these are 30 seconds. You're not going to be able to hear a lot of this. You're just going to hear a continuous clicking tone. I told you I don't do a lot of things like normal people do. Yeah, well, I kind of ran out of pitch, different pitches. This would probably have helped, just like keeping everything pretty close together on the pitches, and then we can just reuse this part right here, and then reuse it again. Good. That doesn't sound that bad, actually. I'm actually really happy at that. And now what we're going to do is we might do some synths. You know, like the virtual riot kind of a thing where he has his layered synths at the right at the header. And then, you know, there's not a lot of cutoff. A lot of people do that these days. So I'll duplicate that just because we have that there. And we can actually use chrono for this. Just elongate that. And I think we want a major synth. That's in terms of like a chord. Yeah, that sounds about right. And we can just reuse Chrono X, put this back to oscillator. Into this part right here. No. Yeah. I know, it sounds pretty crappy. I think that's because there's still some things here. You know. No. Put on some delay. Ew. That doesn't sound very nice. So, screw that. We're just going to use a lead, and we're just going to work around with that. So, no. 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 Okay, that doesn't sound that bad. Take off the delay. Maybe lower some of this. Yeah, that sounds like shit. Ew. Yeah, I could even load in just a random crap. Yeah. Just a random thing there. I didn't want to go too crazy with the synths because I don't like doing that. And now we're going to put in an ARP, which is basically just a pad. And I don't like working with my own pads. What is this? Oh, that's the list editor. I don't want that crap. I want Apple loops. We're just going to load in a random... some of the piano loops I have. Yeah. I mean, obviously we're going to work around with it, so that... Get out of there. What note are we in? B3. That's our root. So we have it on smart. Our snap here because we have a loop. We have the loop bar snap here. And we're gonna do maybe a. And arpeggios are pretty easy. I mean, I just usually just normally use just a random track. Not like that. And I can randomly use it. And yeah, I'll just do that. Like a lot of people might be like, BrainmasherWobbleTron's a sampler. I'm like, yeah, I do use samples. I like using samples. They're easy. I mean, I go around using my own stuff a lot of the time too. I mean, I do edit a lot of stuff out, but for the sake of tutorial, I'm just going to use stock. So when it comes to my arpeggios, Logic Pro has a very neat thing in here called the arpeggiator. And I can put it into grid, and I can literally just type out my own sequence. And I like my synths kind of like that, so. It's kind of offbeat. I mean, not offbeat. It's kind of. Sounds kind of weird. I don't even know. I mean, we don't have to put in there. So, basses. So quickly what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to another project because I do not want to write out my own bass when it comes to... yeah, don't close. I mean, in terms of MIDI, I don't like using my own... I don't like usually writing out my own bass notes. So I'll actually just take this MIDI here. Thank you. Don't save. And I will, voila, I have defied the laws of physics. And And oh yeah, and that's serum, so I'll actually load up serum here, take this off. And Snails Growl. Just has a preset here. Yeah, so we have a nice serum going up here. So now what we can do is I'm going to initialize my patch. I'm going to initialize all that. I'm going to start from the basics. So, hooray, the basics. So very first thing, pan my base, direct out. Keep it on this. This is a, I don't know what kind of a wave this really is. I mean, it's not a sine, it's not a triangle or a square. And before we do anything, detune. And put on a hyper, or not a low hyper, not a low size for dimension, and we're just going to keep it like that for now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to import using fixed frame size, and I like using serum ever since I watched a tutorial that Virtual Riot did on serum, and it was beautifully done. So right now I'm going to import via fixed frame size. You can listen to how he explains it. I don't do it the way he does it. Where he in his tutorial he imports percussion samples, and when he does to make his stuff, I don't do it that way because I don't have a lot of good percussion samples. I know, ironic, right? I make really good drum beats, but I don't have good percussion samples. I don't have the same kind of percussion samples he uses. His are very studio quality. I don't have the same quality stuff, so what I'll do is I'll actually sample other people's finished drum basses. I download a lot of my stuff from Looperman. I don't have to give credit. I mean, because it doesn't sound, when I'm through with my basses, it doesn't sound anything like what it used to be. So right now I normally import it using and I put in the import number to 1,000. Like when it came up, you would be able to see it here. Process, normalize. This is going to increase the volume of each table here. There's a lot of crap in here. I don't even know what this is going to even sound like. Sounds kind of weird. Now what we're going to do is we're going to this is the wavetable position. As you can see it here on here, it's moving. And here's our LFO. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this into here. So we have LFO modulation, and just drag this so it's not as I'm going to save that. That actually sounds pretty good. So now we're going to put in this is like if you come from massive, you're going to notice a lot of these look similar, like asymmetrical and bend plus over minus. I think that's bend and minus, it's both of them. Bend plus bends it in the middle, I think. Bend minus bends it away from the middle. Yeah. The higher bend plus gets, the closer everything gets brought to the middle. The higher bend minus gets, everything gets pushed away from the middle. And then bend plus and minus is both of them at the same time. So the least amount you get closer to the middle. Everything in the middle gets closer. But the less you have, everything on the far ends gets pushed away out, and then it's the opposite the further you get. And we're going to have a different LFO modulating that out. Maybe not as much. And we're going to have maybe a slower, maybe a 2-bar. And it's going to be triggered. Yeah, and before we do really anything else, I'm going to put on a filter here. Maybe a flanger. I like using flangers. They're nice. Resonance up. And we're going to also modulate our pan on this, because modulating pan is fun. And we're also going to put on a nice compressor on here. Maybe a bit of a reverb. Maybe a bit of a delay. Change this to ace, because I like having an ace, and put this on ping pong. I might actually edit the crap out of this so it doesn't sound as weird. Would take some refining, but it works. Yeah, work around with some transients here, because I'm getting some weird stuff going on in my... Yeah, and I use isotope brake tweaker in here not brake tweaker, alloy in here as well. I want to remove the high ends because it doesn't, I don't know, with this kind of a bass, it doesn't really work that way, but this is really how I get some. I mean, that sounds kind of weird, so. Maybe a bit of distortion. We want X shaper. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Now let's see with the bass. Even here, like, oh yeah, I forgot to equalize this. That's probably why it sounds a little bit weird. And by weird, I mean sounds, you know, headstrong. I don't know. I have a weird sort of auditory thing going on where it actually like tightens up when certain basses. I'm not too sure what's causing that. It's kind of like a vacuum effect. I'm not too sure what's causing it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Leave a comment. Leave a comment in the comments section below if that happens. I don't know, because I think it's just me, just the way my mind is interpreting it. So, that could be used as a normal base. Like, I'll probably go ahead and refine it later. But what I like doing to start off, like, you see these gaps here. What I like doing, if you listen to these, I actually like putting like a nice wah or a nice growl to signify the start of the measure. Like a nice or something like that. And I'll put that right here. And I'll just loop that. And we can, we already have some nice effects here. I might put it to a nice phaser. No. Yeah. And we'll just put in a new sample here. Just something random, you know, once again 1000 here for the samples per frame. Normalize, maybe use Squarify. Squarify is a processing. It'll remove all the even tones for each sample. Ooh. I want a little bit more of that though. I want a little bit more. There's not a lot going on here. Ooh, that sounds kind of nice. Maybe if it's gonna be a nasty thing like there, I'm gonna need more bass. I mean, not more bass, but more reverb. Yeah, like. Sounds nice and wet. Although I could probably wetten it up a little bit more using some nice transients. Maybe do a little bit of that. I don't like a lot of high end, so. Oh yeah. Now with the rest of the bass. You know, I don't like that bass. I don't like it that much. So I might just save the preset here in my tables. Oh yeah, and I have these new. These are new, as you can see. These are by Skepsis. So I have all here. These are all my wavetables that I have here. Just random crap. How do I know what's what? I don't. That's why it's fun. Because you go through it and you don't know what's what. There. That's the name of the table. Or not the table, but the preset and the table. Mind you, I think the reason why it sounds a little bit weird is because of I'm not using the I'm not using the LFO as well as people would want me to. I should probably put this on trigger. And put another tick right here. And nice. Maybe if we're gonna have something like that, I might want to put a formant on it. Oh, and I've completely forgot about these. These are coarse pitch. I forgot to work with these. These are nice to use as well. those really save you. And I can, and because we have coarse pitch on, we can actually go back to using maybe a phaser. Completely forgot about those. Those are literally this is literally the thing that makes Serum golden for me, using coarse pitch and all these, because it really helps with, you know, changing the pitch of samples. Yeah, so. Yeah, so it's blah, blah, blah. No. No. Yeah, so it's dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. And then right here. Yeah, hooray! And I'm going to realize that that snare is not really punchy enough, so I should put a add sample and put a nice snare to it. Ooh, that's not doing nice things. So it's B14. Oh god, there's a lot of them. That's not the right one. These are all mine that I made, by the way. Oh, it was a new one. It was a new one. That was the exact same one. Buddy, do I have like the same one in here 5 times? No. That was it. Add sample. Why is it going? What? All right. What is? No. No. Stop it. What the hell? Am I doing that? Why are you fluttering like that? There we go. Didn't sound the best. No. I want a nice snappy one. I think it's this one. Yeah. I might want it a little bit snappier here. Sustain, attack, inputs. There, that might work. No. More reverb. Less of this compressor. I might actually, I have the ability to change the, where are you? I have the ability to change the, where is that? There's an EQ in here. There's an EQ in here somewhere. Here, yeah. Yeah, this is what we want. No, we don't want to. We want it on bandpass. And we might actually change the, yeah, well, you want to change the stereo expander on this a little bit. And finishing touches for this little thing here. Click on Finder. Get out of here. Symbols. No. Good. This is all vengeance, as you can see. I know the OCD, you have to start from the top. And we don't want too much high end, so. And we're gonna have to use this is Spectrum, and this is the, no, that's Flex actually. And we're gonna just change the pitch of it a little bit by shortening it, because I don't like it. And because that's way too pitchy, what the hell? Sounds weird. Alright, well, if you're going to be like that, I'm just going to have to monophonic you. Good. And then another crash right there. And all of this could be a little bit louder, and maybe it's because of this. Maybe you just need some filter work, I don't know. But maybe a little bit of noise here. That sounds pretty growly. A little bit of the Snails feel on there, because I know Snails has those weird wet growls. And there's a little bit. Might actually. I forgot to do a little bit of some panning. This cell has some good panning on it. This doesn't. Yeah. I just noticed that I didn't hit the first. Yeah. Why didn't you not do? You didn't hit the first note. It didn't hit the first note. And then, unless I think there must be a discrepancy here at the 5 mark. Maybe these are all. Might have, because I didn't hear it. I heard it cut off there. There we go. Alright, so there you go. That's how you make some trap step in my style. Something like that. I mean, sure, you would need to do some serious synth work here on this part right here. And some arpeggio work. But as far as my 2 basses here go, this is that. It's going pretty nicely. So so yeah, basically that's it. You know, here's my SoundCloud. Let me know what you guys thought of this tutorial.